Tonight, we walk the halls of a hospital where not every nurse on duty is alive. In Mexico, they whisper about La Planchada, La Dama Planchada, the Ironed Lady, a ghost in a spotless white uniform who appears beside the sick when the living staff have forgotten them. Some say she was a devoted nurse, betrayed and broken by love. Others insist she was cruel, condemned to spend eternity tending beds she once neglected. But in the dim light of the night shift, no one's asking which version is true. They're just praying the silent footsteps at the end of the corridor belong to someone who still has a pulse. Stay with me, and don't take your eyes off the door.
In the heart of Mexico City, when visiting hours are long over and the fluorescent lights buzz over empty corridors, the Hospital Juarez changes. Nurses talk in hushed tones about an extra presence on the night shift, a figure in a perfectly ironed white uniform gliding between the beds of the forgotten and the dying. They say she does what some living nurses fail to do. She stays, she watches, and she heals. Tonight we step into the legend of La Planchada, the Ironed Lady. In Spanish, La Planchada means the Ironed One, a nickname earned not by vanity but by obsession. Witnesses describe a nurse in an old-fashioned uniform, starched cap, long white dress, stockings and polished shoes. Her clothes are always perfectly pressed, immaculate, glowing faintly as she moves. She drifts down hospital corridors without a sound. No footsteps, no rustle of fabric, just the soft presence of someone who should have been off duty decades ago. Before she was a legend, she was simply Eulalia. In the 1930s, Eulalia worked as a nurse at Hospital Juarez. She was known for her discipline and devotion. Her uniform was always freshly ironed, her hair neatly pinned, her shoes shining like mirrors. More importantly, her patients adored her. She watched over them obsessively, checking every chart, every pulse, every breath. Colleagues whispered that if you landed in Eulalia's ward, you were among the lucky ones. Everything changed when a handsome young doctor joined the staff. He noticed Eulalia's efficiency, then her quiet smile, and soon they were more than colleagues. Even in a place built on pain and loss, they found moments of tenderness, in crowded hallways, in stolen glances across the ward. According to the legend, they became engaged. Eulalia began to dream not just of saving lives, but of building one of her own. Then, one day, the doctor left for a medical seminar in another city. He promised to return within the week. But a week passed, then another, and another. No letters, no phone calls, no word. When news finally did arrive, it shattered Eulalia. The doctor had met someone else at the seminar and married her. Alone in a small room of the hospital, Eulalia read the words that broke her heart, and with that, the perfect nurse began to unravel. Eulalia's grief was not quiet. It seeped into her work. The nurse who once double-checked every dosage now stared past her patients, lost in private agony. Charts went unread. Medications were delayed. One night, according to the legend, a patient under her care died, directly because of her neglect. Crushed by guilt and heartbreak, Eulalia herself fell ill. Some say it was a physical sickness. Others insist it was her will to live that failed. She died in the same hospital where she had once been its brightest light. After her death, the night shift staff began to whisper. They saw a nurse in an outdated uniform moving silently through the emergency ward. Some swore she glowed faintly and floated inches above the floor. Others claimed she walked like anyone else, except her steps made no sound. No matter the version, she was always the same. Immaculate uniform, crisp and ironed, more pristine in death than any nurse in life. The staff gave her a name, La Planchada. The most disturbing stories did not come from the staff, but from the patients. In beds where nurses rarely checked in, someone else did. Terrified patients reported a silent nurse who adjusted their IVs, smoothed their sheets, and whispered comfort they couldn't quite remember upon waking. By morning, many of these patients were stable, even miraculously improved, ready to be moved out of intensive care. When asked how they felt better, they answered simply, "A nurse came in and healed me." Legends rarely agree on the past, but they obsess over the meaning. One version claims Eulalia was always cruel, a harsh nurse who mistreated her patients. In death, she is punished, forced to spend eternity caring for those she once ignored. Another says she was kind until the doctor rejected her, and grief twisted her into negligence. Her ghost now returns out of guilt, desperate to balance one fatal mistake with 1,000 quiet acts of mercy. Whether punishment or redemption, La Planchada is forever on duty. Today, many hospitals in Mexico claim her. From Mexico City to other urban centers, patients and staff insist they've seen the ironed nurse on lonely nights, sometimes walking, sometimes floating, always silent. They say she favors the room where she died, and the wards where nurses are overworked, where corners are cut, where someone might be forgotten. So if you ever wake in a Mexican hospital and feel your pain ease overnight, your sheets smoothed, your chart mysteriously corrected, before you thank the staff, look closely at the door. Because somewhere in the corridor, in a uniform without a single wrinkle, La Planchada may still be on her rounds.
So now you know her name, La Planchada, the ironed lady who chose a hospital corridor as her grave and never really left. Some say she was a lover betrayed, others a bitter nurse who crossed a line no healer should ever cross. Whether she died of heartbreak, illness, or her own guilt, the legend agrees on one thing: she still walks the wards. In the small hours, when the monitors beep like distant heartbeats and the living staff are stretched too thin, a silent nurse in an out-of-date uniform might slip into a forgotten room and leave a patient mysteriously healed. Is she an angel of mercy or a soul who can't escape the scene of her crime? The next time you wake in a hospital bed and find your pain eased by unseen hands, ask yourself, did a nurse help you, or did La Planchada just finish her rounds? Thank you for spending some time with me today. Please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe.